Welcome to Papa Junk Shop. Well, now that we're not going to have a mag on here and we're going to go with battery ignition, it's time to work on the fuel tank. And I was going to build my own tank and put it in the base and have a filler come out and then have the coil and stuff on the other end. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, having that electric coil and all that stuff in there with a fuel tank and stuff might not be the best idea. And it was going to be complicated making the spouts and stuff to come out in connections and have them be sturdy enough. So, you know, unless I use some really heavy material to make it out of. So I opted with, I went up and looked and I found this tank. Don't know what it was off of. Something I saved off of something. And it's actually good and solid. It looks terrible. The output connection is gone, which is a good thing, because I'm going to put a fitting in there so we have a drain so I can drain fuel out at the end of the season, and we'll have a pickup that goes down in here for the fuel pickup for this suction carburetor. So I got the other part of that metal that I used for the magneto deal. It didn't work, so this is now going to become a fuel tank bracket. I've got it cut size-wise there. I got to get laid out so I can get back up in there with these mounting bolts. And then once I get that mounted, I can figure out the height of this. And then this will bolt on like so. This will be lower. Put that fuel tank, yeah, somewhere, well, it'll be a little lower, maybe somewhere about right in there. And I figured I'd probably put a 45 or a 22.5 on this and point this exhaust a little bit out of the way. So that's the plan, but you know how the plan's been for this project. Might get part way through it and something will change, so wish me luck. Got it marked out where I got to cut. So I'm going to cut that part out. And I've got some center punch marks there for the 5/16 holes. So I got my 1/4-inch blade in, so that radius should be no problem at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out. Okay, got her all cut out, got the holes drilled, and I put the flywheels back on, and I put an angle piece on the muffler, which you guys can't see. Oops. Yeah, right here. So it's over to the side. So stick a couple of bolts in it. See how they do. Just hard enough so you can't do it with your fingers. Just about make the ratchet go. Okay, I'm not going to tighten them down real tight. Well, actually, I don't need this one tight at all. So that's where she's going to be. And then this is going to go on there, but I got to determine the height. So that muffler pointing that way clears the flywheel, clears this. And I just got to determine the height of this. So I'm going to get it down as low as I can. That's why I put this bolt back in there, just in case it hangs over and that thick washer's in the way. So I'm going to go ahead, take these flywheels back off and stuff out of the way so I can get in there and get a better look-see. And then we'll get that cut off. And I'll determine where these need to go, drill a couple holes and tap them. Got that bracket cut off. Got some vice grips holding it temporary in place. I don't have a lot to work with here, but I think probably what I'm going to do is, when I put this fitting in the tank for the tube and the check valve, I'll probably make it so it's like a hose barb and just put a short piece of hose in there. I was hoping to have some of the original line and have a little loop in it, but can't have everything, I guess. So I'm thinking that that's going to be the final position for it. I got clearance there. I can get at the gas cap. So everything is clearing. So I think that's going to be my final answer for a fuel tank. So I got to get these holes marked down here, drill it and tap it so it'll be a permanent mount. And then I can determine where this is going to be once I get it bolted in place. Okay, I mounted it on the engine, figured out where I needed to drill for the pickup tube to go in. And this is what I'm going to put in there, brass fitting. Going to get it down as close as I possibly can and solder it in place. That'll allow me to fit the pickup tube and stuff down through there. So I'm going to drill it out with one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Got the hole done, but I want to get as much room there as I can, so I'm going to take a ball peen hammer and I'm just going to give that a little bit of a divot. That'll drop right down in there. So, I'll get that all cleaned up and flow some solder around there. That part's done. Got the tank sandblasted and I put some flux around here. Now I'm going to give it a tin, and then I'll put my brass pieces in and then go ahead and solder it. If you tin it first, that way you're kind of sure that you got good coverage. get everything clean, I got the right temperature, everything goes great with solder. If you don't have it clean, you're just going to have trouble. This is where the drain's going to go. This already had solder on it once, so it should tin pretty easily, and it did. Yeah, I'm going to get those brass pieces in there now. Now, I thought the camera was on while I did that, but it wasn't. Turned out good. But I'll let you watch me do this one. A little bit of flux. Maybe more than a little bit of flux. When she gets all hot, she'll flow right around there nicely. Okay, I think we got her. Once you see the solder set up, before it gets too cool, you want to get that flux off of there, or else it's miserable to get off. I'll be ready now. Just take a rag and wipe her down. Looks like she sealed all the way around. So next, I think I'm going to put a plug in there and put some gas in it and make sure everything is good. It's had gas in it for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and it's all still in there, so I think we're good to go. Next, I'm going to work on my pickup. Now, I think I got the fuel pickup thing figured out. I started out with a fitting that looks like this. It fits in the top of the tank here. And these, I cut a little bit off the thickness of the hex because I need as much clearance as I can get. And then I run it in a pipe tap backwards so the threads are flat all the way up here to the end, so it screws right down into the very edge here. And then the other end, I took the threads off and I cut a couple of grooves in for the hose connection, because there's only going to be about a piece of hose about that long on there. And for the bottom, I got some of this hobby tubing, I guess you call it. And it just perfect fit for in there. I'm going to solder that in place. And then I'm going to use one of these pickup tubes. This is out of one of the newer Briggs's like a lawnmower kind of a thing. When I say newer, I mean 20 years old. And they had a little hex on here. Well, it was just enough that it wouldn't go down through there. So I just stuck it in the drill and just touched on the belt grinder while it was running, and it drops right through there now. So once I get that soldered in there, I can determine the length for the depth of my tank, and I'll cut this off, and then I'll slide a little piece of hose over this, and then that whole works will just screw in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this soldered up and get these lengths figured out and get her together. Yeah, this is taking longer than I thought. You can see the flux bubbling down in there. There she goes. Yeah, stay put. I'm not sure if it'll float all the way around or not. Tempted to take a hold of it, but I'm not gonna. Okay, looks like I got solder all the way around. Okay, there's the finished part. Back up. And then I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it or not, but it goes right down in there, pretty much on the bottom. Yeah, I think you can see it. So next, I think I'll cut a little piece of tubing for there and make sure everything lines up and works there, bolt it on there temporary. Okay, things are mounted in place. I think she's going to be okay. Just threw the flywheels back on there temporary, so get an idea of the clearances and everything. So I think the next move will be, well, of course that's the original base again, so I got to get that all mounted back on there and get oil and stuff in it again. And I'm going to work on mounting the coil in the base and getting the ignition finalized for, at this point, battery ignition. Got the mount made for the coil. I found a little L bracket. It was for something else and had holes in the right spot, so that's what I'm going to use to mount the coil underneath. I got to drill and tap a couple holes, and then I think I'm going to mount this little porcelain knife switch right here for the on and off. And I think the spark plug wire is going to come up through from underneath right about in here and go right up to the spark plug. And I made a little terminal block that's going to go over here for the batteries. And what I did was, this is a piece of Bakelite, I believe, and I milled and drilled some holes and slots, and so that's going to go in there, and then I can put my wire in that, and that's going to drop in there, and then there'll be a nut on there, like so. And then probably mount it that way. I don't like the looks of it, but keep it out of the way of this oil drain. So that'll probably mount something like that. And then I'll have a place that I can attach my battery to when I go to the show. So I'm going to go ahead and get holes drilled and tapped to mount all this stuff. I think I got the base all done. Got everything mounted. Got the hole drilled for the spark plug hole. I made a little plastic bushing that drops in there so the wire won't chafe on there if it does wiggle around a little bit. And I got the coil mounted. So, and I got the holes drilled out for the mounting bolts. So I think the base is done with the exception of the wiring, which I'll do when I get it all assembled. I think the only other thing I have to do yet is put the top on the water hopper, so I guess that'll be next. That's what I'm going to use for the top. It was a ring that was off of a recessed ceiling light. Matter of fact, it was one from in the garage here when I replaced them with the LED retrofit kits, whatever you call them. And it was still out in the scrap pile, and it was just about maybe a quarter of an inch too big. It hung over the edge, so I stuck it in the lathe, took just a little off. So that saved me from making a casting. So that's where it's going to go. And I think I'm just going to put a couple of screws down through. I mean, there's no pressure on it or anything. It's just to keep the water from sloshing out, make it look pretty. So I'm just going to put 2 screws in it. And it'll have, before I put it on there permanently, I'll run a bead of silicone around the edge, set it in place, and then put the screws in. I don't know what this has got on it. I took this over and was going to sandblast it off so it was bare metal, and about all it did was bounce off of it. Made a lot of static electricity. I could see it in there sparking and arcing, and I could feel it. So I took it over on the wire reel and scrubbed on it for a while, and that didn't do anything either. So apparently it's powder coated or something. Probably what will happen is I'll get it all on there, and when I paint it, it'll probably all wrinkle up or something. But I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to get those holes in. Got the 2 holes drilled and tapped, and a couple screws in her. Think she's going to be fine. Next, I think I'm going to just assemble it again. Not tight, just loosely put it together. Take a look, see if there's anything that I've forgotten to do. And if not, then it'll be time to take it apart and put some paint on it, I do believe. Well, I got it all loosely assembled with all the parts that I'm going to use. I think at this point all I need to do is some more cleanup and some RTV on the joints that need to be sealed for the water, and some paint. and then we can put some water in her and run her. That'll be the next video, pretty sure. I'll do a walk around once. If you guys see anything I missed, let me know. Now I gotta do the wiring yet too, once it's assembled. So if you enjoyed this one, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. We'll see you next time.